be a little too dark.
How's the light for you back there? Is it okay?
It's fine. You can turn them off if you need to.
How's that? Is that better? Is that okay?
That's fine.
I did a PowerPoint research on the Titanic, and all the stuff, saying sail, the sinking, construction, the media advertising, the design. I go all of this stuff, over all of it. Here's more part of the outline, and telling us what's going to be in it.
Can I read some that I can see from here? That I see panic and tragedy, rescue, and then the wreckage. It's a great outline.
And there's a hand-drawn picture of it sinking. And here's a picture of the stern.
Oh, is that the wreckage on
Back,
the ocean floor?
The back of the ship.
Okay.
Yeah, I may want that side to read it. I may want to read it.
Okay.
Sorry, I gotta get to the page. The design of the Titanic was already thought up. The Titanic's design was thought up by a team of over 100 designers. The chief designer was a man named John Van. As you can see, that's him right there. The exterior design of the Titanic was already set there due to it being the 5th ship in its class, the Olympic class. But the interior design and mechanics were very different. The Titanic was 883 feet long and 104 feet high. The goal was to make the ship unsinkable. The construction of the Titanic was built by Harland and Wolff for the White Star Line. The purpose of the ship being built was to compete with the Cunard line of ships that were being considered luxury ships. And the White Star logo and the Harland and Wolff advertisement for the Titanic. Construction of the Titanic began May 31st, 1911, and took 3 years to build. It was unfortunate that 24 lives were lost while building the ship. Most of them fell to their deaths, some were squashed by heavy equipment like hull plates. Some of the science used to build the ship included steam-powered cranes, but most of the amazing part of building the ship was the manual hard labor of the men and their hand tools. And that's the Titanic right next to the Olympic. That's the Olympic, that's the Titanic.
Where is the Titanic?
It's the black.
Oh, okay.
So they're two different ships?
So is it a competition of the two? With them being
No. They were sister ships. The Titanic's being a few feet longer than the Olympic. The Titanic had first class, second class, and third class passenger compartments. The third class passenger experience on the Titanic was comparable to second class on other ships. That is how fancy the Titanic really was. Many people pre-ordered luxury tickets to ensure their spot on the world's largest luxury passenger ship. And there's a picture of an original ticket.
That's cool. Wait, I thought you said it began in 1911. It began being built and it take it, say nice and
That is when they, as soon as the ships start being built, that's when they start advertising for tickets.
Oh wow, so people were buying tickets like when it's still being built?
Yeah. And here's a film of the Titanic. The very original.
Yeah, it takes this a little bit, I just clicked on it, so. Let's see if it.
It does change there.
Tell me that it's not. Oh, there we go, my work again. Hold on. Hold on. Duplicate.
Austin, you said there's a sister ship. About how many feet is it shorter than the regular Titanic?
5, maybe 10 feet.
5 feet.
And that's Captain Smith, John Smith himself, pacing back and forth on the foamy deck of the Titanic. Nervous because he's the captain of the largest ship in the world.
He went down with the ship, right?
Yeah.
Every captain.
That's how the bridge communicated with the engine room. They had tunnels, but it was such a gigantic ship, it'd be fast to use those. Those are lifeboats on the deck.
How many lifeboats were on the deck?
23. Original plan was for it to have 63 lifeboats. Budget cuts. Second best Romy jet. Here's the third class deck.
That was their deck?
Third class.
Quite as pretty. That lady's hat.
Which ones?
Like me here. It's Rose and Jack. That was that fake people.
No.
She didn't survive the storm. Actually survived.
Rose was a real person.
Yeah.
Bailey.
Was a real person.
Bailey.
Rose and Jack are real.
It's amazing they have this footage.
It was very primitive, as you can see.
Bon voyage.
The Titanic was actually overfilled.
Was it?
Yeah.
Did people sleep on like decks?
No.
Was there enough rooms?
Yeah, there was enough rooms.
Just too much weight.
Yeah.
So did it like say like adding
How little those big steamboats look right next to it.
turning that thing's gotta be a pain.
That's why it's got 3 ship rows.
I heard that since 36 reckoning was
hard lines had 4. Fourth final was just flew up.
I was gonna say, I only.
Yeah, because I could see like steam coming out of the first one, but the last one has nothing.
It was just for look, like I said. The sea trials were completely flawless. That's our bad news.
This says the rescue ship.
Yep.
But why?
This is the one that rescued the survivors.
Yeah.
And where was that? What did they say?
About 120 miles away.
5 miles.
How many people survived? Not that many.
If it, we're going to that side, you can wait, Dustin.
Multiple dives and survive. No, but I can take
Mrs. Pratt.
Might be hard to believe, but it's harder to find information on Carpathia than it is with Titanic.
Are these the survivors?
Yeah. These are the survivors lining up to get soup on the deck of the Carpathia.
You what? They don't look overwhelmed though. They're stressed out.
I think that's all of the Titanic in the video.
You kind of do it. There's
Titanic set sail. The Titanic set sail on April 11th, 1912. There were many sea trials that were completely flawless. They did not have any troubles during the sea trials at all. On April 11th, 1912, it sailed on its maiden voyage with all the passengers on board. While leaving the harbor, the Titanic almost collided with another ship named the New York. This was the last time the public ever saw the gigantic ship. Once outside the harbor, the Titanic's captain, John Smith, ordered for full speed ahead. They quickly learned that the ship's top speed was 24 knots, which is comparable to 27.6 miles per hour.
That's actually pretty fast.
The Titanic sank on April 14th, 1912, just 3 days into the trip. There have been speculations as to what really happened, but upon reliable investigation it has been learned that the massive ship hit an iceberg and damaged 5 separate compartments. These 5 compartments quickly filled with water, which weighed down the bow of the ship, allowing water to get into the other parts of the ship. Research has found that the enormous weight of the water broke the ship in half. There was no chance of saving the Titanic. It only took the ship 3 hours to sink completely from the time it hit the iceberg to the time the whole ship was underwater.
Why is that such a big deal? Like, what's the big point of the Titanic? You never seen
the Titanic?
that movie makes me cry every time.
Oh my god, I can't believe
No, like,
they lived.
Guys,
shush.
unheard for the ship to break in half. It has been told that some of the lifeboats were taken off the ship to allow for space. The ship was designed for 66 lifeboats, and yet only 23 were taken aboard. This was actually a tragic mistake. Because there were not enough lifeboats for the 2,220 passengers, 1,500 passengers died. Less than half the people on board actually survived. It's been told that during the sinking of the ship and the horrific ordeal, the band on the ship kept playing until the bitter end. They went down with the ship, their instruments, and their horses. The Titanic survivors in the lifeboats were rescued by the Carpathia ship. There were approximately only 700 survivors. And there's a picture of Carpathia on the deck and some of the lifeboats. Many explorers searched for the wreckage of the Titanic. The remains of the Titanic were officially found 73 years later on September 1st, 1985 by Robert Ballard. There have been approximately 5,500 artifacts recovered from the wreckage and surrounding areas. The exact location of the shipwreck is now protected by the United Nations. And here's where I got the information. Shelley Tonka, 1996, on board the Titanic book. History of the Titanic, retrieved 3/3/2016 from
Oh, you don't have to say that.
Vic, and that's it.
Very well done. Wonderful, wonderful.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay.
Yeah.
Like there was like a thing I heard about, like, cause how blacks. I heard like some blacks were able to go on it and all that, but like some people thought blacks were such a disgrace still that they let the whites get off first, and the blacks had to stay on or something like that before the whites got off.
I didn't hear any of that. I haven't heard any of that.
Wikipedia has that.
You know how big the iceberg was?
Icebergs are 83% of icebergs are underwater. No one actually knows how big the iceberg actually was. Underneath the water, the iceberg was probably bigger than this entire campus.
Is that possible?
Yes.
Yeah, it is. Obviously.
Any more?
Do you happen, I have one, I remember seeing the movie, The Titanic. How, do you know if words was all that true? Like everything that happened on that movie, or did they kinda,
Yeah, because it was
Yes.
did they make things up to kinda make it more interesting, or elaborate more, anything like that, do you know? That's,
Some of the stuff was true, some of it was made up. Most of it was true.
so do you think that they put the first class passengers in the lifeboat first, and then the second, and then the third class?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Women and children first, even if they were first, second, or third, the men had to wait.
Okay. I think you have one more question, Austin.
Well, I watched a documentary on the Titanic, and you know how in deserts there's mirages, you see stuff? They thought that there was a mirage because of the hot air above and then how cold the water was. So it looked like it was farther away, and they thought they had time to turn.
Possible. Then again, to turn a ship that big, you gotta slow down. They didn't slow down. If they had hit straight on, the Titanic probably wouldn't have sank.